The nearly 1,000-year-old Chinese Buddha statue was on display in the Drents Museum in Amsterdam. In September, the statue was moved to the Meander Medical Center for a CT scan and endoscopic testing.
When a 1,000-year-old Buddha statue in Japan was finally opened, no one expected what was waiting inside. Hidden chambers, ancient scrolls, and strange relics that shouldn't have survived the centuries. Each discovery raised more questions than answers. Was this statue merely art, or something far more mysterious? Some say it guarded a secret meant to stay buried forever. What did they really uncover inside this sacred relic? Let's find out. Number 7. The Japanese Buddha that hid 1,000 secrets. Imagine praying to a statue every day, never knowing it was alive with secrets. That's exactly what happened in Nara, Japan, where experts uncovered hundreds of hidden objects sealed inside a serene Buddha's chest. At first, they thought it was simply the sound of loose wood. Perhaps the statue had cracked from age. But when they scanned it using high-resolution imaging, what they saw sent chills down everyone's spine. The 8-century-old statue wasn't hollow. It was packed with hidden relics. Over 180 sacred objects were sealed inside its body. Small bronze mirrors, scrolls, silk wrappings, gemstones, even fragments of ancient scriptures written in fading ink. Each item had been deliberately placed there more than 1,000 years ago, perfectly arranged around the Buddha's core. It was a message. Experts believe the statue, known as the Hokaji Buddha, was crafted during Japan's Nara period, a time when Buddhism was spreading rapidly across the islands. But this discovery changed everything historians thought they knew about how Buddhist icons were made. The objects weren't just offerings. They were part of an elaborate spiritual code, hidden away to protect both the statue and the souls who prayed before it. The most shocking part came when one of the sealed containers was opened. Inside, researchers found small bone fragments wrapped in silk and gold leaf, possible human remains. The placement of these relics suggested they might belong to a revered monk or even the original temple's founder. If true, it means this statue has literally held a human being's remains within it for over 12 centuries. Archaeologists also uncovered something else, an inscription etched in ancient kanji hidden on the inner wooden frame. It contained a series of Buddhist chants, phrases meant to guide spirits safely into the afterlife. No one had seen or recited them in over a millennium. Today, the Hokaji Buddha sits safely inside a temperature-controlled chamber, guarded not for its gold or age, but for the mystery sealed inside it. Number 6. The desert grave that shouldn't exist. What kind of tragedy could force an entire group of people to vanish into the desert only to be discovered thousands of years later? In early 2024, a group of archaeologists near Aswan were shocked to stumble upon a massive burial site deep in the desert, far from any known settlement or riverbank. It wasn't supposed to be there. Ancient Egyptians built their tombs close to the Nile, where life thrived, but this one lay miles away, swallowed by endless dunes. At first glance, it looked like a simple trench. Then, the team began unearthing bones, dozens of them. Layer after layer revealed more figures, all buried hastily, without the lavish treasures or ornate coffins that marked royal burials. By the time the excavation reached its final phase, the remains of over 60 individuals had been uncovered. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. The figures weren't laid peacefully. Many were twisted, tangled, or piled together. Some had signs of sudden trauma, like fractures or bends. Others bore evidence of a strange black residue, as if scorched or exposed to chemicals. Scientists couldn't explain it. The desert grave seemed to belong to no known culture, no recorded time of famine or war. One hint came from the soil, which contained layers of fine silt, proof that the area had once been submerged in water. Could these people have drowned? Was this an ancient flash flood site that turned deadly thousands of years ago? If so, why were their remains carefully buried afterward? Someone or something took the time to cover them with sand in precise formations. Carbon dating placed the site roughly 3,500 years ago, during Egypt's Middle Kingdom. Yet, the burial customs didn't match anything from that era. The dead weren't wrapped in linen or buried facing the sun. They were simply placed in the sand, as if abandoned, but not forgotten. Experts now refer to it as the Aswan Desert Necropolis, though no one truly knows who lies beneath. Number 5. The the samurai's buried fortune. More than 200,000 coins, enough to buy an entire province in feudal Japan, were found buried in a single clay pot. In what has been called one of Japan's most jaw-dropping discoveries, archaeologists in the Saitama prefecture, just north of Tokyo, unearthed a massive ceramic vessel filled to the brim with bronze coins dating back over 600 years. The discovery wasn't made in a grand temple or royal palace. It was found buried barely 2 meters underground, hidden in what used to be an ordinary rice field. Yet what lay inside has rewritten part of Japan's samurai-era history. The pot contained roughly 200,000 individual coins, each about the size of a bottle cap and strung together with ancient rope that had long since disintegrated. When experts lifted the first handfuls out of the earth, they realized they were looking at a secret fortune worth what would have been millions of dollars in modern terms. The coins were dated to the Muromachi period, around the 15th century, a time when Japan was gripped by civil war. Clans battled one another for control, samurai turned on their own lords, and villages were burned to ashes. According to historians, the coins were likely hidden by a powerful warlord or wealthy merchant desperate to protect his treasure from theft or invasion. Whoever buried them never came back. Next to the pot, researchers found a small wooden plaque with one puzzling word carved into it: 260. Some believe it was a marker of the total number of coin strings once stored, meaning there might have originally been around 260,000 coins before looters or time claimed the rest. Others think 260 could have been a code, perhaps indicating the owner's identity, or even the number of people involved in the burial. No one knows for sure. What makes the discovery so shocking is that this treasure wasn't hidden deep beneath a castle or temple. It was sitting just under the surface, lost to history for centuries, even as modern cities grew around it. Had construction crews dug just a few inches deeper years earlier, this legendary hoard might have been scattered or destroyed. Only 70 coins have been analyzed so far, but researchers have already noticed that many came from different regions of Asia, China, Korea, and even Southeast Asia, proving that Japan's trade networks in the 15th century were far more extensive than previously believed. Experts now call it the Samurai's Vault, a forgotten fortune buried at a time when loyalty could shift overnight and death came without warning. Would you risk your life to protect your wealth the way this person did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Number 4. The lost Amazonian cities hidden beneath the jungle. For centuries, explorers called it a myth, the El Dorado of the Amazon. But in 2024, that myth suddenly became real. Deep in the Bolivian Amazon rainforest, scientists uncovered evidence of a vast urban complex, older and larger than anyone imagined. Using cutting-edge LiDAR scanning, a laser technology that can see through dense jungle canopies, researchers mapped what turned out to be an enormous network of cities, roads, and canals stretching across hundreds of square kilometers. What they found stunned even veteran archaeologists. Hidden under the trees were the remains of pyramids, ceremonial platforms, and wide, straight highways that connected one settlement to another, proof of large-scale engineering on a level never before associated with the ancient Amazon. This wasn't a handful of huts or scattered tribes. This was an organized civilization that thrived centuries before European contact, a culture capable of reshaping the jungle itself. The discovery centered around the Llanos de Mojos region of Bolivia, where satellite images had long shown odd geometric patterns beneath the forest floor. But it wasn't until the LiDAR data was analyzed that the truth came out. Over 20 distinct urban centers, some featuring monumental earthworks and towering mounds reaching nearly 20 meters high. The sheer complexity was unlike anything seen in South America outside the Andes. Even more shocking, the entire network appeared to be connected by long, raised causeways, straight roads up to 6 meters wide that ran for miles through swamps and rivers. Some even lined up perfectly with astronomical events, suggesting an advanced understanding of mathematics and the cosmos. This civilization had not just survived in the Amazon, it had mastered it. Archaeologists now believe the cities were home to tens of thousands of people between 500 and 1400 years ago, belonging to a culture known as the Kasarabe. Until recently, most experts assumed the Amazon couldn't support large populations due to poor soil and harsh conditions. But this find completely overturns that belief. The Kasarabi people engineered the land itself, creating elevated fields, irrigation systems, and fish farms, transforming the forest into a human-made ecosystem. What's even more mysterious is how the civilization vanished. There are no records of conquest, no signs of massive war, and no evidence of plague. One day, the people of these cities simply disappeared, leaving their monumental earthworks behind to be swallowed by the jungle. Today, the Amazon's green canopy hides thousands of years of forgotten history, and with LiDAR scans revealing new ruins every year, you may ask just how much of human civilization is still buried beneath those trees, waiting to be rediscovered. Number 3. The forgotten basilica beneath the waves. What if one of Rome's greatest buildings wasn't destroyed, but simply drowned? Archaeologists diving off the coast of central Italy stumbled upon what may be one of the most significant Roman discoveries in decades: the submerged remains of an enormous basilica lying silently beneath the sea. The site, located near the ancient port town of Baiae, once known as the Las Vegas of the Roman Empire, has revealed walls, columns, and mosaics so well preserved that divers described it as walking through a ghost city frozen in time. The basilica, believed to date back nearly 2,000 years, was part of a luxurious coastal complex built during the height of the Roman Empire. But unlike Rome's famous basilicas, used for politics or religion, this one appears to have served a mysterious dual purpose, a place of worship and perhaps a center of secret ritual. The discovery began when researchers using sonar scans detected large rectangular outlines beneath layers of silt and sand. As divers explored further, they realized the ruins stretched across an area larger than a football field. Marble floors shimmered under the water's surface, and fragments of statues peeked out from coral-covered corners. One diver even reported seeing an inscription bearing the name of Emperor Hadrian, though experts are still verifying whether it's authentic. What makes this find so shocking is not just its size, but its location. Baiae was famous for its opulence, a seaside retreat for Rome's elite filled with palaces, bathhouses, and extravagant villas. But over time, the ground beneath it began to sink due to volcanic activity from the nearby Phlegraean fields. By the 9th century, much of the ancient resort town, including this basilica, had vanished beneath the waves. The site has now been mapped in detail using underwater drones and 3D scanning, revealing intricate architectural patterns typical of Roman engineering. Massive columns, vaulted ceilings, and mosaic fragments showing scenes of gods and mythical creatures all point to the basilica's importance. Some experts believe it might have been dedicated to the emperor himself, possibly functioning as a temple of imperial cult worship. Others think it may have been something far more secretive, a gathering place for the mystery religions that flourished in Rome's later years, where forbidden rituals and esoteric knowledge were shared under the guise of devotion. Whatever its true purpose, the basilica's sudden descent beneath the sea turned it into an underwater time capsule, preserved by salt, pressure, and silence. It's a haunting reminder that even the most powerful civilizations can sink, sometimes literally, leaving their grandest monuments to sleep beneath the waves. Number 2. The vanished village beneath the ice. They called it Nunalek, the old village, but no one knew just how old or what dark story it was hiding beneath the frozen Alaskan tundra. In the early 21st century, as melting permafrost began to expose ancient remains along Alaska's southwestern coast, archaeologists stumbled upon one of the most shocking Arctic discoveries in modern history: an entire prehistoric village perfectly preserved in the ice. Located near the small Yupik community of Quinhagak, Nunalek turned out to be a window into a world that had vanished nearly 700 years ago, long before European contact. At first, the team expected to find a few scattered artifacts. What they uncovered instead was an ancient settlement frozen in time, with wooden tools, woven grass mats, masks, weapons, and even children's toys still intact. Over 100,000 objects have now been recovered, making Nunalek one of the richest archaeological sites in Alaska's history. But what shocked researchers most wasn't just the quantity of items, it was the story they told. Beneath layers of ice and mud lay the evidence of sudden destruction. Charred beams, shattered pottery, and burned walls revealed that the village hadn't simply been abandoned. It had been attacked and wiped out. According to the excavation team, the site dates back to around the 15th century, during a brutal and little-known period in Alaskan history known as the Bow and Arrow Wars. These were intertribal conflicts that erupted across the region as communities fought over food, land, and survival in a changing climate. Nunalek, once a thriving coastal hub, had become the target of a devastating raid. The excavations revealed a grim scene. Human remains showed signs of violent struggle, crushed skulls, arrow wounds, and even decapitations. The houses, once warm with seal oil lamps and family life, had been burned to the ground. The village's inhabitants had tried to defend themselves, but the attackers overwhelmed them. Yet, amid the tragedy, the frozen ground had performed a miracle. The same permafrost that destroyed the site preserved it better than any museum could. Archaeologists unearthed wooden masks, still painted with vivid red pigment, intricate carvings of animals and spirits, and even strands of human hair woven into ancient textiles. Today, the descendants of those who once lived in Nunalek are helping scientists piece together their ancestors' history. Local Yupik elders are identifying tools and artifacts, translating songs carved into ivory, and reviving forgotten stories. But still, who led the attack that destroyed Nunalek, and why did they strike with such fury? Number 1. The lost school of Aristotle unearthed. What if we told you that the very place where the greatest philosopher in human history taught his students, including Alexander the Great himself, has just been uncovered again after more than 2,000 years? Deep in the hills of northern Greece lies Miesa, a quiet archaeological site long believed to be home to the legendary school where Aristotle shaped the mind of the future conqueror of the world. But in 2024, a team of Greek archaeologists returned to the site with new technology, new funding, and new questions, and what they found has shaken historians to the core. The site, located near the modern town of Neusa, was once part of a sprawling gymnasium complex, a place where philosophy and physical training went hand in hand. Ancient texts described it as a sanctuary, filled with shaded walkways, gardens, and lecture halls, where Aristotle lectured young Macedonian nobles beneath the rustling leaves of plane trees. For centuries, scholars thought most of it had vanished, swallowed by time, war, and erosion. But new ground-penetrating radar and precision excavation revealed something extraordinary. Beneath layers of soil, archaeologists found the foundations of massive colonnades, lecture spaces, and even a system of stone channels that once carried spring water into fountains and baths. What shocked researchers most, however, were the intricate carvings and inscriptions hidden beneath the debris, symbols that may have been used by Aristotle's students themselves. One recently uncovered stone bears faint Greek letters forming what appears to be part of a quote from Aristotle's Ethics. Another fragment of marble shows an engraved lyre, possibly a reference to the harmony between mind and body that Aristotle so often taught. And then came the biggest surprise. In a sealed chamber near the southern edge of the site, researchers discovered a small cache of bronze instruments, compasses, styluses, and tablets, all dated to the 4th century BCE. They believe these may have been teaching tools from the very classrooms where Aristotle instructed his pupils. Some of the instruments even contained traces of ochre pigment, suggesting they were once used to draw diagrams of geometry or astronomy. This discovery has reignited debate about how much knowledge was passed from Aristotle to Alexander before the young prince began his campaigns of conquest. Could this be where Alexander first learned about the structure of the earth, knowledge that would guide him across continents? Could this be where the seeds of empire were planted through philosophy, not force? The Greek Ministry of Culture has since announced plans to expand excavations across the entire gymnasium site. New sections continue to emerge, including what may have been a library or archive. For centuries, Miesa was a name whispered only in old manuscripts. Now, it's a living excavation, the rediscovery of the world's first true school of genius. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the next video for more exciting content.